Welcome back to the CV Brothers podcast. Today we are jumping back into the next part of my Star Wars. Previously we covered the prequel trilogy, exploring Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan as they battled in the Clone Wars. We saw them fall in love, get betrayed, and watch as the whole galaxy fell into the darkness of the Empire. The trilogy, which videos you can check out now, saw secrets, lies, and deceit permeate all levels of the galaxy. What can root out these things? Hope. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, leave a comment. If you don't, leave a comment. Let's jump into part 3 of my Star Wars. Original Trilogy. Opening crawl and context. The galaxy had been lured into a sense of peace by the Galactic Empire for over 20 years. The propaganda they had created and infected in every level of society and every planet allowed them to gain sway over the whole galaxy. The Clone Wars had ended with the purge of the Jedi and the rise of the Empire. Most only knew the peace that came from it. Despite Imperial efforts, a fledgling rebellion had managed to coalesce and survive during this time, working to change the hearts and minds of the people, hoping to rebuild the Republic and bring freedom to the galaxy. In their fight against the Empire, the rebellion had found plans of a secret planet-killing space station, the Death Star. Princess Leia Organa had received these plans via a network of spies and rushed to return them to the rebellion. Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. On the backwater planet of Tatooine, Luke dreamed of an adventure and leaving the planet far behind. The almost endless sea of sand seemed to hold nothing for his future. His Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru worked hard to keep Luke and their other kids safe. They were part of a small group of moisture farmers who gathered and sold water to the cities close by. Luke had lost his parents, Anakin and Kira, 12 years before, and that was when Beru insisted he live with them. Owen often commented that Luke was too much like his father, who wanted to be a hero. Out here, there was no use for surnames. There was just the land and the ones you loved as your family. One day, Luke looked up and saw a space battle above his planet, again dreaming of what could be. In the space battle itself was Lord Vader and his Imperial naval fleet. They had found and captured Princess Leia's ship. The Imperial stormtroopers began searching the ship for the secret plans for the Death Star. The princess managed to steal her mind and protect the fact that she had sent the plans with some droids to the planet's surface to find General Obi-Wan formerly of the Galactic Army of the Clone Wars. The droids managed to make it to the planet but were picked up by scavengers. However, by happenstance, the droids were both sold to Owen. Luke was tasked with cleaning the droids up, and while he was doing so, found a message for help from Leia to Obi-Wan. Curious, Luke took the droids to old Ben Kenobi to see if he knew Obi-Wan. Ben, Obi-Wan, enlisted Luke's help in an adventure to save the princess and the galaxy. Luke wanted to join the adventure, but leaving the planet worried him, and he worried about his family. However, when Luke found that the Empire had tracked the droids to Obi-Wan, and therefore could have tracked them to the homestead, he quickly fled home. He found that Owen, Beru, and all of their children had been killed. He decided to join Obi-Wan to help with the adventure to save the princess, but mostly for revenge. They found an ace pilot by the name of Han Solo and his co-pilot, Chewbacca, and made a deal with them to be taken to the planet Alderaan to meet up with Leia's father, Bail. Bail and Obi-Wan had served together in the Clone Wars. While in hyperspace,
Obi-Wan began training Luke to be a Jedi and to wield the Force for good. Dark Lord Darth Vader, having spent 20 years hunting Jedi, killing Sith spawns, and grooming Imperial loyalists, did not want to waste this chance to gather more power over his master. He brought Leia on board the Death Star, a moon-sized space station that had the power to destroy a planet, the crowning jewel of Palpatine's power. Lord Vader tortured Leia to find the location of the rebellion, but found nothing. The commanding officer, Grand Moff Tarkin, ordered the station to fire on Alderaan, Leia's home planet, unless she told them where the rebels were. However, Tarkin called her bluff and destroyed the planet anyways. Obi-Wan, Luke, Han, and Chewie came out of hyperspace into an asteroid field, which was the pieces left over from the planet that used to be Alderaan. The Death Star pulled them in with their tractor beam to keep the information of the space station under wraps and away from the galaxy as a whole. Obi-Wan snuck into the space station and deactivated the tractor beam so that they were able to leave. Luke, however, convinced Han and Chewie to help him rescue Princess Leia. Before the two teams could meet up at the ship, Obi-Wan was found and faced by Vader. In a lightsaber battle, Obi-Wan allowed Vader to defeat him so that the others could escape. Vader didn't mind losing these new rebels after having finally found and defeated Obi-Wan after many years of searching. The group rendezvoused on the planet Yavin, where the rebels' base was located. The droids and Princess Leia shared the schematics with the rebel fleet and found a weakness within the space station that, if hit correctly, would cause the planet-sized ship to self-destruct. However, the Empire had tracked the ship, and the Death Star arrived to stop the rebels once and for all. The rebel fleet mobilized and prepared for the last stand and final hope for the galaxy. Han and Chewie took the reward promised to them for returning Princess Leia and left. Luke joined with the attack, and with the help of the Force and the guidance of Obi-Wan, managed to make it to the space station and engaged in dangerous combat. At the last second, Han and Chewie showed up to help Luke, allowing them to destroy the Death Star. Vader and some of his closest companions managed to get clear of the blast, however stranded in the solar system away from all Imperial troops. The rebellion celebrated their victory on Yavin. Luke then took upon him the surname of Skywalker, after the legendary hero of the Clone Wars that Obi-Wan had once served with. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. 3 years after the destruction of the Death Star at the Battle of Yavin, word of the victory had spread throughout the galaxy. Support for the rebellion had begun to grow. As the events at Alderaan and Yavin spread, distrust for the Empire began to grow, and the rebellion began to gain strength. This sway was not just felt in the lower levels of society, but through all levels. The elite started to worry if they were to be simply discarded, as was the planet Alderaan. Luke Skywalker and the newly formed Rogue Squadron became the heroes of the rebellion, being in effect figureheads. They used all their spare time, however, to search for information about the Force and the Jedi. Princess Leia and other members of Rogue Squadron had started learning how to tap into the Force and feel things. While Luke continued along the path to become a Jedi, the rebellion had relocated to the isolated ice planet of Hoth to regroup and prepare for their next move. This was the first time that all of the different branches of the rebellion had been able to come together in the last 3 years. While out on patrol, Luke encountered a large Yeti-like beast called a Wampa. And after a short encounter, he saw the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan, as had slightly prompted Luke before, this time gave a strong command for him to seek out Jedi Master Yoda upon Dagobah, the planet, noting that Yoda had exiled himself after the fall of the Jedi. Luke collapsed after his vision and his battle with the Wampa, but was saved from the snowstorm by Han and a few other of the rogues. Before Luke could leave to find Yoda, the Empire found the rebellion and attacked Hoth Base. The rebellion managed to get away with only minor casualties. As they did, Luke left for Dagobah. In the evacuation, Han, Leia, and Chewie distracted the Imperial forces to allow the rebellion to get away. This led Vader's fleet into an asteroid field to find them. Leia used the Force to find a place to hide within the asteroid. Han and Leia also became more romantically entangled during their adventures. Vader killed off some of his captains for their inability to find one simple ship, but also used it as an excuse to place more of his loyalists in higher Imperial positions. Han and Chewie suggested they could hide away on the planet of Bespin, where their old friend Lando Calrissian could fix up their ship. After traveling to Dagobah, Luke eventually found Yoda, who had spent over 2 decades alone on the planet since the fall of the Jedi. Luke spent all of his time training in a rigorous manner and tried to truly connect with the Force. Leia and Han arrived at Bespin and were met by Lando. Leia could not shake the feeling that something seemed off. The Sindhi seemed to be taking care of them too well and even upgraded Han's ship. On Dagobah, Luke finally let go of his pride and his preconceived notions of what a Jedi should be. With Yoda's help, he reached out and truly tapped into the Force. He grabbed onto it like holding a branch in rushing water. The Force flowed through him and gave him visions and images of the past, present, and future. When he finally let go, he collapsed with exhaustion. When he connected with the Force in that way, it caused a disturbance in the Force that was felt by all those who had been trained in the Force across the galaxy. Some felt hope, some felt fear. Other worries of the possibilities of the future. Palpatine was scared, and Vader was intrigued. On Bespin, Lando betrayed Han, Leia, and Chewie to the Empire in order to save his city and the people of his planet. The Empire tortured each of them and dismantled their droids. In prison, Chewie became inconsolable. A weakened Han reminded Chewie of his promise and calmed him down. Han told Leia how he had saved Chewie from a labor camp and promised that Chewie would never have to be a slave again. In repaying that, Chewie promised a life debt to Han to protect him at all costs. Leia promised to help Han keep his promise. After Luke recovered from his visions through the Force, he continued his training until he had another vision of Han, Leia, and Chewie as they were being tortured by the Empire. Rashly, Luke left his training to save his friends. Yoda and Obi-Wan's ghost begged him to stay, but he left, being scared for his friends. Before Luke could arrive at Bespin, Han was frozen in carbonite and sent off with a bounty hunter to collect the bounty on Han's head. When Luke arrived, Leia felt and saw him. It gave her hope to escape. Lando, feeling remorse, told his people to evacuate and turn on the Empire, freeing both Leia and Chewie. Luke fell into every step of Vader's trap, traveling deeper down into the city with each step. Vader confronted Luke and tried to turn him to the dark side. When Luke fought back, they began a long and grueling duel. Vader twisted and tried to manipulate every fact of Luke's life. After he severed Luke's right hand, Vader told him that Obi-Wan had killed his mother and his father, Anakin Skywalker. This information shattered Luke's confidence and shook him to his core. Luke's family were humble farmers on Tatooine. He had never met Obi-Wan until the droids came to his home. His father had served in the Clone Wars, but he was not a Jedi. His whole life seemed to be falling apart and filled with loopholes and plot holes and lies. He managed to fake his death and allow him to be saved by Leia from Vader. Leia was able to find him through the Force. She saved him, and they were able to flee out to where the rebellion had met up.